Recording. Oh, all right. Well, happy Monday, guys. Even though we were just talking about was it really happy? But what I will say is happy Scorpio season. Oh,
Yay.
yay. Today was the first day we moved into Scorpio. Depending on your time zone, it was between noon and 3. So depending on where you're at in the world. So we are officially in Scorpio, which is nice because we just came out of Libra, and Libra, wants all the balance, and we're trying to make decisions, but we're weighing this and we're weighing that. And, Libra is a lot of thought. It's a lot of just all of that up in our head energy. And there was so much going on. And now we're kind of moving into Scorpio season. And this is really the time to just breathe. It's a water sign. We're going with the flow. It's a lot of intention. It's a lot of intuition. It's a lot of the veil is thinning right now, and we're getting closer and closer as the veil thins. Um, yeah, Scorpio as a boss is not necessarily, they definitely can kick it into gear, that's for sure. Um, but you definitely want to stay in the present. Think about the present. Let's not go searching into the past. Let's not go searching into all of that. Let's be in the present. Let's feel our emotions. Let's get very, into our intuition and just go with the flow like water does and see where it takes us. Scorpios are deep divers. They like to get into the nitty gritty of that kind of, going down the rabbit hole of, if you're like, hey, can you search this out for me? I have this problem, I need to know all the things about this. Give it to a Scorpio because they will pull out the dictionary. They're going to Google it. They're going to dive down into it until they find the answer. So don't get too lost in that. And if you are digging for answers, maybe like with the people in your life, and you really want some answers in that, maybe relationship wise, whatever that looks like, if it's with a friend, with a partner, um, you know, just if you're going to knock on the door and you're going to look for the answers, be prepared for what is behind that door and what answers might come out.
We're great researchers.
Excellent researchers. But if you are looking for answers in life, be prepared for, if you're going to ask a question, be prepared for the answer. Who's going to answer that door and what's standing behind it? Because once you have the answer, there is no going back. So just really think about it before you deep dive into it, unless it's, something super fun. But if it's deep in relationships, be careful when you go diving into that. Um, and also with flowing with intuition and being in the present, don't forget though, during this, while we're in fall and we're moving into winter, that we still need to focus on our self-work or our shadow work. And don't forget that we need to be in the present, but we also need to remember, what presently do I need to work on that I can let fall away. And then during the winter, I can see what I want to fill that with, that I can plant in spring and grow into that new person. So that's what we're doing now. We're making that space. And then winter is the planting. And then spring is the planting and the growing into that new person. And we're going through all of those cycles, which goes into great about tonight, because we're going to talk about a little bit in the moon phases. I'm not going to go as deep as I did the last class. You can find that on YouTube. I'll touch on the phases, and then we're going to get into water and the different kinds of water and how you can use them, um, which is so much fun. So I just love all the waters. So one thing to remember is there is no rules here. There is only guidance. Do what feels right to you. You are the only person that can say, this feels right. I like this better. This works for me better. So if If I like moon water and you like sun water, work with sun water. We're just going to learn all about it. And it's your trial and error, it's your magic. Believe in your magic, because what works for me might not work the best for you. So it's learning through doing, which brings us to imperfect action is better than perfect procrastination. Do it, dive into it, use it. That's what we're here for. That's what we're learning about. Write stuff down, write what worked, write what you could do, what you want to do different. It's all that stuff. Um, you know, and you don't need anything fancy. You don't need tools. You need intention and you need movement. And which work is self work. And all the things I talk about are only layers, right? It's just adding layers. The moon adds layers, the sun adds layers, colors add layers. And we can add those layers and we can make it thicker. But what we have to start with is movement, belief in ourselves, and manifestation, our intentions. So if we don't have that, we have nothing. And it doesn't matter how much moon water you drink if you're not putting intentions into it. Right? So just remember all of that. It's all just layers and it's all just adding on. I don't know. I will talk to Jordy about shadow work. Oh, okay. So language classes, some of what I talk about, I will talk about, as we go through different intentions and manifestations and spells and where to start with all of that. It does start with a bit of shadow work. So you're probably going to get some in that class, and then you're going to get some in this class, and then you can just kind of put it all together because, yeah, like Jordy just said, it all melts together, it all combines together, and we all build off of each other. So, as we go through things, you'll get bits and pieces here and bits and pieces there. So, for sure. So, before we get into the moon phases, one thing I wanted to talk about is how can we use the moon phases? Like, what are different things we can do? So, I was trying to think about it, and, there's spells that I like to call a long phase spell, right? So the phases of the moon, and we're going to use the whole 29 and a half days that it takes to go from whether you're starting it on a full moon to a full moon, or if you're starting on the waning all the way to the waning, whatever that looks like. It takes 29 and a half days to go all the way around to complete and come back to the same phase that you started on. And I like to call that a long phase spell. So something that you might do if you're working with the moon and you really want to, like, say you're doing a self-love spell, and maybe you make a bowl, or you have, a crystal you want to carry, or maybe an unblocking spell, if you will, or a road opener. And maybe you're using a key for that because keys unlock things. They're used for unblocking, unlocking, all of that stuff. You might want to do where you're putting it out every night under the phase, each phase of the moon, because first, maybe you want to start it on the waning where the moon is going away, because we want to take away our self-doubt and all of the things that are holding us back. And then we would go into the dark moon where we're going to rest and we're going to contemplate and we're going to pour into ourself, because we have to do that. And then we're going to go into the new moon phase where we're building up our new intention and our new manifestation of what we're going to fill, what we just took away. And then we're going to come all the way around to the full moon where we are at full power and we're absorbing all of that. And we're putting all of our energy in and we're putting it into whatever item or spell or bowl or whatever we are doing. And we're putting it in there together. And now, the key that I carry around has all of those phases in it. And it's going to remind me and it's going to hold all of that power. So I'm unlocking, I'm unblocking, and I'm filling, and now I'm full power. And it's going to remind me of all of that stuff. And that key has that, but then it's going to be the shadow work to go along with it, or the self work to go along with it, to remind me, what do I need to do on a daily basis, that I'm working with my spell. Because if you carry the key around, it is going to have those things, because it has gone through the cycles. You have put that intention into it, and it's going to do the things. But if you work against it, or you don't work with it, and you're not putting the work into it, it's going to be slower, it's going to take longer, and you're going to have to learn those lessons over and over again. So it's just the layers that we're doing, and they all need to work together, because it's going to hold that power. The moon has that power, the sun has that power, but we also have to then do the work inside of us so that power can be released to the full potential. And then there's, I call a one phase spell. So maybe you're going to put it out every night under the waning moon. So maybe I want to take a key and I want to put it under the waning moon, because I want it to unblock and take away in traffic. So I want to hang it in my car. And this spell is specifically for my car. And I want my lights to be green, and I want my traffic to be less, and I want cars to stay away from me, and I want to block bad drivers. Now, of course, that's still going to exist around you, but GPS is going to take us the easiest and fastest way every time we put it in. And we're going to hit more green lights, and maybe people are going to be less crazy around us. And that's what we're asking this key to do. So we want to put it in the waning phase, and we're going to set it out every night under the waning phase, so it's full of that waning power to get things out of our way. And then I would maybe leave it in the dark moon for the protection, and maybe the cloak of the dark moon. So yes, less detours. I was thinking about you, Jordy, when I was writing this today. I'm not gonna lie, after all your talk about traffic today. Um, and so maybe we see an opening, like the key is going to help us, it's going to take all the distractions away, so we can see that, oh my gosh, it's blocked up there. Are we going to be able to avoid the traffic because of the construction that's going on? No, but maybe we see it sooner, or something pops up that says, hey, go right. And then we're going to go right, and we're going to go around it. So it's assisting us. So we still have to keep our eyes open, but then I would use the waning phase for that. And then if I wanted to bring something in, if I was looking for a new career, maybe what I would do is I would take my resume and I would set it out under the waxing moon every night during the waxing moon, and then maybe even leave it out under the full moon as well too. But I want to draw the new career in, so I would take a copy of my resume that I sent out to everyone, and I would put it under the waxing moon to draw in towards me, to build up the career, to draw in the opportunities. And then that I would put it out under that phase. And then, of course, we have the one night phase, right? Because the full moon is really only full for one night, even though the energy does last before and after. But if you want to harness that full moon on that day, or, do we have time every night for the waxing and the waning phase to go out and do this underneath? I wish we did, but we don't. Like, some of that is unrealistic. So you can still do these things under one night, under that phase, and it's still going to be just as good and just as strong. These are just different layers that we're building on top of each other. So it's still going to give you that energy. You could just leave it out longer if you wanted to. And then, put it under the full moon to charge it. When you feel that it's full and it's kind of losing and it needs charging, put it under the full moon and let it charge again. So it's really up to you what you do and how long you want to do it. But not everyone can put something out every night for all these nights, and that's okay. especially like if you're charging under the full moon, or you want to clear your crystals, you want to charge them under the dark moon. If you have some vanishing to do, obviously that would be a one phase night, because you want to use it when it's at 100% and it's at its strongest. So those are different ways that we can use the different phases of the moon in our spell work. And it's up to you what you do and how you do it. So there's no wrong or right way. And then I kind of want to talk about, before I get into the moon and the sun, feminine and masculine energy. And I know we've talked about this before, but we're definitely just talking energy. We're not talking any type of gender or sexuality or anything like that. This is just the energy of it and what those energies feel like, because we're all made up of masculine and feminine energy. The moon is considered feminine energy and the sun is considered masculine energy. And then different astrological signs are feminine and masculine, and we're all made up of that. And different planets are more feminine and more masculine, and we're all made up in that when you take a snapshot of your birth chart. So some might have a little more masculine and some might have a little bit more feminine, but we're all made up of that. So using the moon and using the sun together, we're combining those energies. And feminine energy, is very creative, very intuitive, very flexible, very soft, emotions, comforting, calm, agreeable, radiant. Aren't we all radiant? We're radiant. And that gives us connection to others, to connect to each other, to empathize with each other, to have that connection, that mothering and that nurturing. And that is the feminine energy, which is also the right brain, but the left side of the body. So the heart, even though they say it's kind of in the center, but right, left hand over your heart is the left side of your body, but the right side of your brain. And then masculine energy is very direct, our logic, more rational, not thinking with the heart. It's very left brain, very right side of the body. It's fast moving, it's logical thought, it's logical thinking, it's strong, but it's not strong like muscle. It's strong like endurance. Like a mother is strong to make sure that she can work the 3 jobs to feed her children at home that she's doing on her own. But a man can also be emotional and loving and nurturing when he's staying home with the children, because that's his role in doing that. So we're just built with all of that. So it's not strong with muscle, it's strong with endurance. And so all of these energies are flowing together to give us that balance that we need. And the masculine energy helps us in, like, I hate to say it, but like the real world, like when we're working our job, when we're making decisions, when we're paying the bills, the things we have to do to get through. And the feminine energy is helping us, guide us through that. Does this feel right? Loving, nurturing. No, I shouldn't go that way. I should go this way because my gut says to. And so those are the energies of what we're harnessing when we're working with the sun and the moon. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions so far? No?
That makes total sense to me.
Yeah. So just really quick, I kind of just went over when I was talking about that, but the waning moon is when the moon is getting smaller, when we want to take things away, release, all of that good stuff. The dark moon is when it's not visible in the sky, and that's when we should take some time for ourselves. Now, some people call this the new moon, and this is when they set their intentions, and that's not wrong either. I just refer to it as the dark moon. So when I leave messages and I say the dark moon, I'm talking about when it's not visible in the sky, when we should be resting, and when we should be taking time for ourselves. Or if you have any banishing work that you want to do, any protection spell, any binding spells. And, banishing is removing energy out of your life. Banishing is removing people or things that do not serve you. So it's not like that's just what it is. Some people think it's other things, that it's like, and there is other work, like if you've got some spirits in your house and different things like that, and you need to get them out, this is a perfect time to work for them too. But what I am talking about is on a personal level. And the same thing with binding's kind of the next step when you need that energy fully bound and out and not coming back. Banishing is getting rid of it, binding is to make sure that it's not coming back. You're tying it together. So sometimes when people hear that, they think it has a darker context, and it really doesn't. It goes along with protection and protecting ourselves, and that also goes along with the word no. No is protection. No is boundaries. No is okay to say to people, so you can keep yourself safe and you're not giving yourself away to others. No is my favorite spell, my favorite protection word. You can say no, it's okay. And if they have a problem with it, it's a them problem, not a you problem. And the people who can't hear no from you are probably people we need to think about during the waning moon and wave goodbye to them. Because
You
people
are
who care,
punished.
yes, because people who care about
Wanted
you
to say
listen
that
to
this
your
whole time.
no's. Because if they care about you, they will listen to your no, and they will respect your no, and they will wait for you to say yes. So going with yes, the new moon is when you start seeing the sliver in the sky, and this is where you want to start setting your intentions and what you want to draw in and your manifestations and what you're working for. And then we're moving into the waxing moon where it's growing. And this is where we're growing. This is where we're focusing. This is where we're taking the steps to build our intentions, to build our manifestations. And this is where we're thinking about, what do I have to do? Okay, this is where I have to go. I have to put my one foot in front of the other to get this to happen. Because it's still all self-work and the steps that we have to take. We can think about it for as much as we want, but the universe is here to work with us, not for us. So if we're not taking the steps, it's going to be a lot slower. And it's going to be a snail's pace. But if we work with the universe and not against it, it's going to be a lot faster. And then, of course, we come to the full moon, which our power is at full capacity. And once again, I'm going to say it, there is no wrong way, but please do not just release what doesn't serve you at the full moon. Please wait for the waning moon, but you can do whatever you want. If you have to release, release. But once again, when people say that, I think what happens is they're confused. We've built all this power up. Why are we going to just let it go? Where's it going to go? What is it going to do? I don't know. We just did all of that work and then blow it away like a dandelion in the breeze. No. But at this point, what we want to do on the full moon is we want to ask and we want to send out our energy to where it's going to be used. We've built it up and we're going to send it out to where it needs to go, to where it can be. Show us the direction. Where can I use it? Where can I send it? Where can it be so I can grow? So my intentions are just as powerful as I am. And that's what we're doing on the full moon. And I think that's where the confusion comes in of release what no longer serves you. We're not releasing that. We're taking our power and our energy and we're sending it out so it can be used where it needs to be. But if you need to release on a full moon, by all means, go out and release under a full moon. Talk to the moon, bathe in the moon, enjoy the moon. do all of that, do all of those things. And if you need to do it, because there is no wrong. So if that's what you need to do, please, 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 please do it. But don't build up to just let it go. That's like deflating a birthday balloon before you tied the string on it and let it float up, right? And let it go. No, let's tie it up. Let's let it float and let's let it be magnificent and serve its purpose, because that's what our power is doing on the full moon. Yeah, if that's how you work, if your full moon is release and forgive, that's totally fine. Maybe just think about on the full moon the intentions and sending those intentions out. Just try, just see, sending them out to where they need to be, because then the waning moon where it's disappearing, if you release on the full moon, and then the waning moon is really that time to release and forgive. But if that's how you do it and that works for you, by all means, release and forgive on a full moon, because there is no right or wrong. So if that's where you like to do it, by all means, do it on the full moon, because you are not wrong and I am not right. It is our own practices, and this is only guidance and things that I have been through. And someone might try the release and forgive on the full moon and feel that that completes them. So if that's what works for you, please do what works for you, because that's what it's all about, is just finding the things here and there that work. Because I might say it one way and someone might say it another, and you combine the two together and that works for you. So there is no right or wrong by any means. Now, let's talk about the sun, because I feel like the sun does not get the attention that it deserves. The sun is powerful. The sun has that masculine, let's go, let's get up, let's do this kind of energy, right? The moon is very soft, very intuition. So if you want to do, intuitive work, if you want to do all those things, we're really tapping into the moon. Whereas with the sun, like, we can't grow without the sun. We get vitamins from the sun. Plants aren't growing without the sun. It's cleansing, it's life. The sun is life, and we need the sun. So let's work with the sun. Sun time to get up, moon time to sleep. That's right. So the sun, it's cleansing, right? You can set things out in the sun and it will kill germs. It has vitamins, it feeds you. You need it to grow, you need it to wake, you need it to rise. It sets the rhythms in your body. And I don't think the sun gets as much credit as the moon does, and it should, because the sun rises every day. And the moon does too. The moon comes through and it goes through its phases, but the sun has phases every single day. I love the sun so much. Yes, I wish the sun wasn't in my face. I go blind on the way to school quite often. So I agree. So every day we have this amazing sun that rises, and we think, oh my gosh, I can't do this spell because the sun or the moon isn't waxing, and I need that waxing energy. Well, the sun rises and sets every day. So when the sun rises, that is our waxing energy at the sunrise, right? So it's building, it's coming out, it's coming up, and it's building, and it's bright, and it's beautiful, and it's coming out. And this is what a lot call the waking hour. So the sunrise, the waking hour, it's shining light. If you have a situation that you are in the dark about and you need to shine some light on it, I am not a sunrise person. Let me just say this to you right now. If you need to put some light on a situation, waking up at sunrise, waking up with the sun, putting out, meditating what you need light shown on is a great time to do this. If you have a spell for new beginnings, as the sun is rising, it's a new beginning, it's a new day. We get to start over every day, right? That's what I tell my kids. Every day is a new start. So yes, it has with the equinoxes and the solstice. Yes, for sure. Um, new love, new friendships, spiritual enlightenment, peace, and health is all great things, all spells that you can do. You can do sun water as well too, which we'll talk about. So this is a great time if you have any of that stuff that you need to do. Sunrise is the time to do that. And then we have in the middle of the day, we have noon, and that is balance, and it would be equal to the full moon, right? So we're at full energy of the day, just like in the summer when it's 110 degrees here because the sun is right above us and it's beating down upon us. Maybe you guys don't get that kind of weather, but we do. So this is equal to the full moon in the middle of the day for finding balance, for drawing things in, for full potential, for love and money and success. And it is at its strong point in the middle of the day. And then we move into sunset, and it's moving away, and this would be the waning or even the dark moon part of the day, which this is a perfect time as the sun is going down to release, to say goodbye. Once again, protection, right? Because we're going to be covered by the cloak of night soon. Any binding, for rest, for peace, protection. Also, if you wanted to bury a spell jar, you can bury it where the sun goes down over it every day. So if you have a jar and it's something that you want to put to rest, maybe it's a bad habit, maybe it's an old relationship, maybe it's, a version of you that you're not anymore. And you want to put it where the sun sets in the back and bury it, and the sun is going to set on that every day, and it's going to keep it going away every day, and it's going to set on it, and it's going to keep it in the dark where it needs to be because we've let it go, and it's going to help us release that every day as the sun sets on it, because that's no longer who or what we need in our life. So that's a really good place if you wanted to bury something like that. You want to do it where the sun is going down, in the west, so the sun can set on it. And then we have the midnight hour, which doesn't really have to do with sun or moon, but we have the midnight hour. And this is a lot of the time where spirits begin to stir. So we talk about like this time of the year, the veil is thinning and it's getting thinner, and Scorpio season, and we're working with the spirits and intuition, and a lot more people are, ancestor altars and connecting that way. Or, maybe you're working on your clairs and your gifts, and people think, well, this is the only time of year that I can do it, is because the veil is thinning. Even though we're working on it all year long, this is the easiest time. But we actually have this time every single day, or every 24 hours, if you will. And that is the midnight hour, where the spirits are beginning to stir and the veil is starting to thin a little bit more during that day, and the energy is coming out. And this is a lot of seances are held at midnight because of this, where they're making those connections. So there's, you hear about, oh, and this, and then, okay, well, we'll meet at midnight, or, well, there they are, they're out there doing their thing at midnight again. And that's why, is because that's when the veil is coming to the thinnest. And that's when a lot of seances happen, a lot of work begins to happen. People will, light their candles and try to connect to their ancestors, or, people who have passed at midnight. And it's for that reason, is our world is starting to be quiet, and people are going to bed, and people are sleeping, and things are calming down. And so the spirits can be heard easier, and they're popping up and they're coming out to play and to say hi. And then we have the witching hour, which is 2 to 4 a.m. in the morning. Some say it's 2, some say it's 3. I think if you're waking up between 2 and 4 a.m., which I frequently do almost every night, you were waking up at the witching hour. And this is lots and lots of spirit activity. So, like, whereas we're falling asleep, so sunrise is hard, this is when we start getting up, and people start getting up. Midnight is when the spirits are starting to get up, and 2 to 4 a.m. is kind of their noon, and they're really moving around and they're doing their thing. And the veil is the thinnest between the worlds at 2 and 4 a.m. So if you wake up during that time, there might be a message that you need to receive. And, this can be a good time if you're waking up to do some meditation, or to ask if there's any messages, or maybe do some tarot card pulling. Or if you naturally wake up during that time, take a moment and be quiet and just, connect to your guides and ask them if there's anything that you need to know, because you might receive those messages during this time a lot easier than you might during the day and the hustle and the bustle, because the world is quieter and the veil is thinner, and it's easier to receive those messages. Yep. And you might just while you're on the way to the restroom, ask if there's any messages for you. That might be a thing for sure. And I will do a class later on that has more to do with like the equinoxes and all of that. I didn't want to get too super deep. Probably the next class is going to be more equinoxes, day of the week, and seasons. And colors, but I didn't want to go too deep into it to where we're just overloaded with everything. So let's get into different waters that we can make. Now that we know about the sun and the energy and the times of day, let's get into the waters. So water is the element of dreams and intuition. It can be destructive, right? Like crashing waves take down boats, but in the same sense, we fill our watering cans with water and we give life to everything. Because can we live without water? No, we will all shrivel up and die. So water is also life, and it's pure, and it flows and it moves. And so there's so many things that we can do with water. And first, I want to say, you don't need anything fancy. You do not need a special jar. Okay. I love jars, right? So this jar is super cool, and I can't wait to find it. I found it at the thrift store, and I showed Jordy as soon as I did. And it is super cool. But guess what? Most of the time, this is what my water is in. A pickle jar. I go to the store and I save my jars and I clean them out, and I put my water in them, and then I label them. I put labels on top. Look, I took the label off of it. I cleaned it out. I scrubbed it out. I smoke cleansed it inside. I filled it with water and I put it under the moon, because it doesn't matter what you're putting your water in. You can go to the store and you can buy bottled water and put your bottled water out under the moon. And if anyone judges you, that's a them problem, not a you problem, because your water is still just as magical as anything else. So I don't care what you put it in. It doesn't need to be fancy. I don't care. And then we also have to remember that we are made up of water. So we need to sit under the moon and we need to sit under the sun, because we need charging too. Yes, exactly. In a coffee jar. Exactly. And also too, we don't have to just charge. Did you have a question, Jordy?
Sorry, I just put my hand back up.
Oh,
To just say, I just wanted to say, if you start looking like this, get out of the sun though. That's not healthy.
We
That's all.
only need, yes, we only need like 10, 15 minutes in the sun. Like you really don't need more than that. You've absorbed all the goodness. Now we can do more than just moon water. We can do water, we can do oil, we can do herbs, you can put your crystals, you can put your wands. If you can dream it, you can do it. You can manifest it and you can make it. So if you think it up, it's not wrong. You can put your candles out underneath there. You could put your hair clips, you could put your pens and your pencils. I don't care. You can put it in the sun, you can put it in the moon. I don't care. If you can think it, you can do it. That's all there is to it. There is no right or wrong. You can use vinegar, you can use oil, water. I don't care. You can do it. And also with that is you can take your water and you can only crystals that can go in water, put them in your water. You can put herbs in your water. You could do it all in one jar, or you can do it all separate because you might use those herbs for something specific. Now, if I have a crystal that I want to, like, okay, my azurite, if I want to infuse my water or my oil with azurite, I cannot put it in it, but I can put it on top of the jar and I can ask it to infuse the water. I can put it touching the jar and it's going to absorb that through, because I can't put this in water. I can't put it in oil and then use it in my body, but I can infuse it with it. Just like I can put this out in the moon and I can infuse it with that. So you can always wrap things around the jar. And then also what I like to do when I'm making the label, of course, that was not a good, I start with post-it notes, guys. That's what was on top. I start with post-it notes because we can't always do all the things at once, no matter how much we want to. So sometimes it takes months to go back and do this, and that's okay. There's no wrong way. You don't have to do it all in one night. So I start with a post-it and I write what it's for, blah, 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 and I write the moon and, you know, the phase, and I write the astrological sign that it was under if I'm channeling that into there. Okay. And you know what? You don't have to worry about the astrological sign because the phase is the phase and the signs are the signs and your intentions are your intentions. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to have all the things. But if you do, I like to write them on there. And then when I make the label, I write on the outside what's going to be showing out, what kind of water it is. Then I flip it over, and on the inside, I write my intentions that it is for this water. So if it's waxing water and I want to, you know, build up my self-confidence, I write that on the other side of the label. This water is to build my self-confidence, so I am strong in myself, so I love myself. And I write that. And then when I put the label on, I'm still infusing my water with my label. So that is just infusing into it. And I remember too, when before I read this great book, and it was talking about when people talk to water and actually putting notes on water that said nice things versus bad things and how the water reacted. And that is real. And I talk to my water as well too. As I'm putting it out under the moon or out under the sun, I talk to my water and I ask it to work with me and I put my intentions into it. And then I seal it, and then I do whatever I do with it. Oh my gosh, Carrie, I put my water out and I put moon water and I fell asleep and I woke up and the sun touched it. Is it ruined? No, it's not ruined. It's not ruined. It's not. You just left it out under the moon. Those were your intentions. That's what you put into it. You asked the moon to come down and bless your water with its powers. That's what it's going to do. And if you don't wake up before the crack of dawn, 2 hours of sun water is not going to ruin your moon water. If anything, you just have a little extra strength in it from the sun, but it is still moon water. Okay. Like now, if you leave it out for 24 hours, it's sun and moon water. And now it's infused with all of that. And the thing with sun water too, is you have those times a day, and then the sun is always in a sign for a month, right? The moon is in a sign for 3 days, like 2.75 days. Okay, so I like to say three. The sun is in a sign for a whole month. So if you missed the Libra moon that you wanted balance, put your water out in the sun under the Libra sun and get your balance through the sun and drink your sun water. It's okay. Nothing's wrong. It's all good. So what can you do with your water? You can bathe in your water, you can drink your water, you can put it in your diffusers around your house, and you can diffuse your air with the what you've put into your water. Ooh, spider water, that sounds kind of good. I just wanted to see Jordy's face. You can cook with your water. You can bathe with it. You can add some to your shampoo. You can put some on your soap. And here's the thing: water, oil, liquid, they take the form of the container that you put it in, right? You only need like a drop of moon water or sun water to infuse your bath. It's just like if you take food coloring and you drop it in and it colors all of the water blue. Your water does the same thing. Your oils do the same thing. Your vinegar, it's going to infuse all of it. So you don't have to go, oh my God, how do I fill my bath with this moon water so I can take it? No, you don't have to. And you don't have to take your whole jar of moon water and use it all in one bath. Because when you put that in there, it just infuses it. Yes, moon water is delicious. It is just crisp and beautiful. And there is something about sun water. Oh my gosh, sun tea. Sign me up for the rest of my life. It is powerful. It is energy. And moon water is so crisp and calm and cool and just, it's like it got filtered on its own, just sitting out overnight. Like it's just, it's so magical all in itself. And you can make tea, you can make coffee, you can take moon water and, like I said, put it in your infusers and diffuse it through your house. You can make simmer pots and put some of your moon water in simmer pots. It's a beautiful way to do it. There's so many uses for it. So if you can think of it, do it. So moon water, obviously we're making under the moon. Sun water, we're making under the sun. Sun water is great for charging tools, growth, boosting energy, vitality. It's very cleansing as well too, just like moon water. So if you're like, I'm out of my full moon water and I want to cleanse and charge, make some sun water because it's perfect for that. That's some strong energy right there. And it's great for self-confidence, right? Think of Leos, right? Leos are full of self-confidence. The sun is the ruler of Leo. So if you need some self-confidence, make some sun water. There's also eclipse water. Play with that however you will. Eclipse water is very fast moving. And here we go again. There's a solar eclipse and there's a lunar eclipse. So you can make it twice if you want. And they're going to hold those energies of the sun and the moon. So the solar eclipse is going to have more masculine energy of that fast movement, whereas the moon is going to have some more of the feminine, but it's still going to be fast movement. And they are going to have a bit of chaos. Fast movement, chaos, not really sure. Be ready to ride those waves if you want to do eclipse energy. And then we have storm water. So lightning, hurricane, thunder, tornado, they are very powerful. They are very charged. They are very unpredictable. So this is the weather water of like equivalent to eclipse because Mother Nature is powerful and unpredictable, and you are not going to stand in her way. And that is the energy that this water is going to hold. But let me tell you, it is powerful, it is charged, and it is moving. Now you can, maybe it's a light rain, maybe it's a sprinkle, and that is going to be softer, and it's going to wash things away, and then it's going to bring new, right? Because a soft, gentle spring rain is going to hold the energies of a soft rain. It's washing away, it's making things clean, it's softer, it's gentler, and it's gonna water more, and things are gonna grow from it. So that's kind of the different storm energies. And then we have snow water. So you can take a jar. I love rainwater. Rain is my jam. And Andrea, being a water sign, I'm sure you love all things water and rain. I know I do. So snow. Snow is great for purification, for peace. It's soft, it's serenity. And you just take your jar and scoop it in the snow and put the cap on it, and it's going to melt. And now we have gone from a solid to a liquid, which has great transformation properties, right? Because we just transformed from a solid to a liquid. So you can use it for purification, even in, you know, its water form, obviously, but there is some transformative, if you really want to transform yourself, your goals, where you're at, that is really great to use as well too. We have rose water. You can make or buy, and I want to say there is no shame in any game if you buy your oils, if you buy your waters, if you, I mean, obviously, like, you know what I'm talking about, rose water or Florida water. Maybe you found someone who makes oils to anoint candles. Buy it. If it works, buy it. Not everyone has the time. I'll go over Florida water in just a second. Not everyone has the time to make all this stuff and have a cabinet dedicated to it and have all the herbs and have all the things. So buy it. We're in a time that we can do that. We don't have to make it. So benefit from what we have done. Just like you can go outside and pick up a stick and have that be your wand or your altar, or, you know, you can have a stump outside be your altar, and a stick you found is what you cast your circle with. But you can still buy the oil that you anoint your candle with. It's okay. It's all okay. It doesn't matter. You are no worse or no better than someone who does it all from scratch, and there is no shame. And don't you ever feel guilty for buying it over making it, or buying it over forging it. It all works, and we have to do what works in our life. That is the most important. So rose water is great for self-love. You know, anything doing with love, please, please, please start with self-love before you try to do any drawing in of love, because we have to know ourselves before we can know someone else. We have to love ourselves before we can love someone else. So please start with self-love. It's great to put in baths, in perfumes, in your hair, put it in your soaps. It's also really good for protection and psychic protection. We'll talk about it more when we actually get into protection, but roses have thorns. Thorns are protective. They hurt, right? So in the rose, growing through the stem into the petals is where we can get that protection as well. So not only is it good for love, but it's good for protection. You can make rose water very easily by getting roses. Maybe not from the store if you're going to use it on your skin, or find roses that aren't grown with pesticide and different things if you grow your own roses, or if you have a place that you can buy roses that aren't grown with all of that, and you just take the roses, you can put it in a pan, you cover it with distilled water, and what is it? A teaspoon of vodka for every 2 cups. And you just want to simmer it gently about, I don't know what, 20 to 30 minutes. The petals will start to lose their color and the water will obtain the color. And then you strain it into a bottle. There you go. There's your rose water, and keep it in the fridge. You can also do it where, and it's more work and it's more concentrated, but you don't get as much, where you put a bowl in a pan, and then you pour water around that and put the rose petals in that. And then you take your pan lid, and instead of putting it on this way, you flip it over so the handle is above the bowl, and you start simmering that, and you put ice on top of the lid, and then the water's going to come up and it's going to cause condensation on the bottom of the lid, and it's going to drop into the bowl. And you can use it that way and then store that in the fridge. So, and that one you kind of do for 20 to 25 minutes as you're making it, and store it in the refrigerator. So, but if you don't want to do all that, buy your own rose water. No shame in that game, because let me tell you guys, it takes a second. And finding all the roses that are good and wash them before you put them in. So Florida water is actually, it's not really water. It is, because it has water in it, but it has essential oils, and then it has like a solvent slash vodka in it. And it's a cleanser. It's really good for blessing homes, cleansing your floors, cleansing energy. Great for anointing your altar tools. You can wear it as a perfume. Most people buy it. You can make it. I looked up a recipe because I don't make it. I just buy it because it's so inexpensive and so easily to find. But it said you take vodka, dried sweetgrass, lavender, sage, and cedar, put it all together, infuse it for 14 days, put it in a cabinet, shake it twice each day, drain it out, put it in a bottle, and there you go. I would rather buy it for, the $5.50 that you can find it on Amazon for a bottle bigger than your head. So I'd rather just buy it. And then there is holy water, which is magic water that has been blessed and charged with pure intention. Now, in some religions, only a priest can do this. In some covens, only a priestess can do it. My belief as a witch, I hold all that power in me to make my own holy water, because what I am doing is I am asking the divine energies to bless and infuse my water, and everyone has that right to speak and harness and work with the divine energy that is in our universe. You do not need a fancy hat. You don't have to go to anything. You don't have to run a room full of 12 other people that call you whatever you want to be called. You don't have to dress a certain way or go through years of schooling for it. Now, if you believe that, that is okay, because that is your right to believe those things. And you can go to a priest or a priestess or to a community or to a place that does that and ask them to make you holy water. And that is okay too. Just like it is okay to buy rose water and to buy oils pre-made. That is okay. But I believe that all of us have the right to speak with, work with, communicate with, and harness the divine energy of our universe. So to make holy water, put your water in your container, doesn't matter what container, put it in, take a pinch of salt, and you sprinkle it in. And that is cleansing the water, and it is going through. That's right. As long as your intentions are pure, that's right. Sprinkle it through picture it cleansing, deeply purifying the water as it goes through. And then you can take your wand, you can take your finger, you can do, whatever magic tool that you have that you feel good with. And then you're going to draw whatever sacred symbol to you that represents divine power. Maybe that's a cross to you. Maybe that's a rune. Maybe that's a sigil. Maybe that's something you came up with while meditating with your guides that you drew down that means that to you, because there is no wrong way. And then you're just going to put that over it 3 to 9 times, or I don't know, do it 12, whatever your heart says, whatever you are led by. You're going to make that symbol over your water. And you're going to imagine it infusing into the water, and the water glowing with divine energy and pure light, cleansing and purifying and filling with the divine energy. And if you want to, you can whisper over it something along the lines of divinely blessed, filled with pure light, full of love, divine in every way. And just whatever your heart speaks, and speak into the water, bottle it and label it. And that's your holy water. Or Andrea put, you can buy holy water from, I'm going to guess that's a French word that I don't know how to pronounce.
Lords.
There you go. So you can even buy your holy water, right? So it's everywhere. So you can make your own. Please say what comes into your heart. Ask the divine, the spirit, whatever comes to you, and speak into the water. That's all it takes. A little bit of salt, a little bit of magic, holy water in your place. And it's great for purifying, blessing, cleansing. One of the things I love too is sigils around your front door for protection and for cleansing. And you can do it with a paintbrush. I love that. Then there's dew water. That's a little bit harder to gather. So good luck with that is all I'm saying. I don't know. Ask the Fae to help you when it comes to collecting dew water. Yeah, so you can take a paintbrush and dip it in the water that you make. And then you can paint sigils and protection symbols around your front door. You can do it with any of the waters that you make, holy water, Florida water. You can do it with your finger. You can do it with, anything that tickles your fancy. You could do it with a Q-tip if you wanted to. Yeah, so you would take your jar overnight outside and collect dew, which is good for healing, fresh starts, right? Because the dew, it's all fresh, it's collected, so you can use it, things like that. And then there is muddy water. So after it rains and there's puddles of muddy water, you can gather muddy water. And that is good for if you want to muddy a situation, which is completely up to you. And that is your work, but it is what it is used for. So if you kind of want to just muddy it up for a little bit, you can use muddy water. You can also use it to disguise a spell. So if you are doing a spell and you're afraid that maybe someone is, yes, like make it complicated. Yeah, if you want to muddy the waters, and you want to make it complicated, or maybe you want to, someone's trying to make a decision and you don't want their answer to be clear, you can use mud to do that. This is if that is in your realm of doing things, I am just telling you what it is used for. Please do it for your own discretion. But if you wanted to, you know, disguise a protection spell and you made a wet protection jar and you put muddy water in it to disguise it so it didn't look like a protection jar, but it is protecting you and it's sucking in, and all those energies are going to come and kind of try to check it out and then get sucked into the protection jar. So it's also good for disguising other spells. And do with that what you will. I am okay with all of my spells looking the way that they look and doing the things, and I prefer not to stir things up or muddy the waters, but not every situation is for us to I don't judge. You do you, boo. And then also too, it is really good for getting in touch with your primal self, right? So right, see, I mean, I'm just saying, if you got to do what you got to do, you know, you got to do, those are your decisions to make, and they are not mine. I am just here to deliver the information and not tell you what to do. Also, if you wanted to get in touch with your primal self, the primal you, right? Like Jordy, you know, you see, like, you put the marks on your face, right? Jordy's picture when she clips off, and it's that very primal, that very instinctive. If you want to, thank you, Jordy. If you know, want to go with that first gut feeling and you want to stop thinking and you want to go with your gut, you need to get in touch with that primal side, that hunter side, that go after it and get it side. Muddy water is perfect for that. And then you can also harness, you know, there's always the blue moon. Yes, Jordy, you can dive into that muddy bath all you want. Also with the moons, you know, once a month, there's always the name for the full moon, right? So there's the hunter moon, the harvest moon, the blood moon, the blue moon, you know, which is 2 full moons in 1 month. And the energies of those moons are the energies that you can, if that's what you want to harness into your water, then those moons are great to use, which usually is the full moon. It just, they all have a name going with it. So I want to say, is it the harvest? Yeah, it's the harvest moon is this month, right? September, October, or is it the hunter moon? I feel like it's the harvest moon.
It's the harvest moon. You're right. Because hunter
Yeah.
moon is September.
Hunter moon is, yeah. So anyways, but you can also use those energies in there as well too. I'm going to be super honest. I just go with the full moon and I just do the full moon. I don't really do, yes, the black moon is 2 new moons in 1 month, and the blue moon is 2 full moons in 1 month. The black moon is even a little bit more rare than the blue moons, and the black moon is not talked about as much. So if you need lots of protection, go ahead and do the black moon, because that's twice in 1 month. And that, my friends, is where I am going to end it. I did have the days of the week, but I feel like this is a good spot to end and see if anyone has any questions. And what I was thinking about, of course, always optional when I say homework, is to make a water. What kind of water do you want to make? Maybe it's a sun water, maybe it's a moon water, maybe, you know, it's something along those lines. Or maybe you want to put your crystals out under one of them, or put a key out under and work with a certain phase. The hunter moon. Okay. My son's name is Hunter, so I feel like that's what it was, because his birthday is next month. So yeah, Hunter Moon is, yeah, I always love that one. But make a moon water, make an oil, put some herbs out, put your crystals out, play with some of the phases of the moon. Definitely make a water if you can. And haven't gotten a deer. Make a water, bathe in it, drink it, make your coffee with it, infuse it into the air in your house. But make some water and see how you like working with it, drinking with it. Play with the water, play in the water. I do not suggest just for this month because there is a lunar eclipse. Now, if you want to be brave and you want to harness that energy, by all means, harness the lunar eclipse energy on the full moon this month, but be ready to ride that wave. It's I kind of like to compare it to like Moldavite. Like people say Moldavite is a wild ride and it's going to get you to where you wanted to go, but it's going to be ups and downs. That is absolutely eclipse energy. So just ride those waves. So ocean and seawater, that is totally a thing. Take a trip to the ocean to and scoop it up. It's really good. It's kind of along the lines, it has salt in it. It is not holy water, right? Because we haven't blessed it, but you can bless it. Go ahead, do your thing, jelly bean. Bless the ocean water. So it's really good for cleansing, purification. If you want to work through emotions, ocean water is really good for that. It's very cleansing. It's very purifying. It's also very, very good for like scrying, if you want to scry into water versus like an obsidian. Ocean water is really, really good for that. Yeah, water from freshwater sources are really good. So those have been flowing through the earth. They're naturally doing its own thing. Rivers that are flowing away are really great for taking and releasing things. I was going to talk a little bit more about that when I did more of like the working with the elements of like water, fire, earth, like, and getting away, and what to do with your leftover spells and different things like that. But yeah, yeah, so the moon is very strong too because of the tides and the pull with the moon. So yeah, collecting, say, ocean water on a full moon, it is going to be super amplified, especially with the charging and the clearing and the purification. So like we're just taking all of these things and we're adding layers to them. Spring water is going to be very fresh. It's going to be, yes, and tap water is fine. All my water comes out of my faucet. So, oh yeah, yeah, the Great Lakes, that's awesome. So like a lake is very calm, it's very peaceful, it's very serene. So like the properties of that are going to be naturally infused into the water that you collect. Yeah, so having no tides, it's very calm, it's very peaceful, it's very serene. So it's going to be great for meditation, for bringing calmness in, for setting intentions. If something's very wild and it's going to have those ebbs and flows and that flowing and that motion, a babbling brook is going to be calm, but movement. A river that flows away will take things away from you. One that flows towards your house is going to bring things in. Jody, did you have a question?
I did, but I can't remember what it was now.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. We started talking about tides and I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm gonna go out and get some water because I never even thought about the ebb and flow of the tides and and that like they're insane tonight. Like they're crashing and I can hear them. It's crazy, but I can't remember. I really wish that I could remember what I was gonna ask you.
Well, when it comes to you, just pop in
Okay.
and say it. Yeah, I went camping with my son and I didn't know that there was going to be, it was a new place and it was for scouts and there was like a gentle babbling brook. And I was like, why did I not bring a jar? Like I take a jar everywhere I go, but I was just trying to pack super light, super small. Like it was just him and it was Friday night through Saturday morning. And I did not bring a jar because if I did, I would have been down at that babbling brook collecting all the waters to bring home to harness. So yeah, ponds totally count. If it is a stagnant green pond and you need to do something, it's going to give stagnant green energy. So remember that because it is a pond and it doesn't move and it's not being filtered, it's going to harness that energy. So if somebody is, now, okay, I'm not going to say against someone else because that's not what yeah, that murky energy. But say you're feeling like you have some murky energy in your life and you want to get rid of that murky energy in your life, maybe you go scoop up some of that murky water and you write out what is keeping you stagnant and what is keeping you in that murkiness and that darkness, and you put the papers into that jar. Well, I won't tell the authorities if you take her to the pond. I'm just saying all 16-year-olds are kind of murky and stagnant. And you put the paper in there and you put all of that energy in there, and then you take it to a beautiful, quiet, serene, open place. Did you remember, Jody?
Yeah, I didn't mean to put my hand up though. I don't know. I'm outside and it's really windy and yeah. So the seawater, and you're talking about infusing water with crystals. So I watched this lady, and she had a clear quartz crystal, and it was like a pyramid. And so she put the clear quartz in the seawater and left it. And she was just going to infuse it like overnight and then put it in a jar and store it. But she forgot about it and left to her cottage for a week and came back. And the water had all evaporated, but the salt from the seawater was still there. And all the salt crystals were the shapes of pyramids, which is really strange because salt is cubular, right? It's not. But they were all in the whole dish was like these little salt pyramids that I thought was like incredibly interesting that the salt had taken the shape of the quartz crystal. So
Yeah.
when you infuse with crystals that you put intentions into and things like that, is it kind of taking the shape of that? You know what I mean? Like the energy or the.
So it's taking the shape of your intention. So her quartz crystal was a pyramid. So probably, with that has its own crystalline energy. So the salt then built with the crystalline energy that the pyramid shape was giving off. So that was infused in many, many different levels. And pyramids, the shape of a pyramid is very grounding it's grounded, right? Because its base is basically like a square, and square is very grounding, right? So the base is a square, and then it's pointing up, and then that energy is directing out. So we're grounded, but we're grounded in our energy and we're sending it out. And so that is naturally the shape of the pyramid that sends out a grounding energy, sending out. So because of all of that and her intentions, it does make sense that the salt then would make those pyramid crystals. Would it do it every time? I don't know, but it definitely to me makes sense of why it would, especially with that intention. And then that salt that was left behind, would be a very grounding, protective, very full of energy salt. So I'm hoping that she kept it and put it in a cool
She
jar to
did.
use
She
later.
did, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
she
know
totally
I
did.
would.
But that's what I was thinking, like if you did that and that, like, so I'm a big fan of pink Himalayan salt, and when
Mhm.
I usually use it to infuse, put in moon waters to cleanse, eat my bath, whatever I'm doing.
Mhm.
And I just find that it has this incredible energy to it. So if you use that and you kind of repeated that process, and you put your intention into it, and you had that salty water, and it did that, would that then, if you took that salt and you put it aside and you used it for intentions for whatever, like grounding, and if that happened, because I thought it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, that happened, because again, salt
Mhm.
is very cubular, right? It doesn't, whenever you see salt, it's like you can have flakes, but it's usually a cube, right? Like whether it's however you break it off, it's always sort of cube shaped and not the pyramid. So I thought that would be, I wondered if you did that, that I don't know if I'm making sense, I'm tired. um if you did that and use that salt to, infuse your moon water, would that then sort of have that energy that you, an intention, right, that you have put
Yeah, so you're
into.
putting your intention in salt. Salt is very clearing, it's purifying and it's cleansing, but it's also protective. So now I am a big believer in my spells for myself or for other people if I can, depending on where they're at and how far. I like to put pieces of myself in my spells on my altar. I was gonna bye Andrea. Um, talk about this later on when we talk about altars and different things, and using it in the spells. But like, if I'm doing a spell for myself, I'll put my hair in it, or I'll put my nails in it. Different things like that. I know it sounds gross, but guess what? It's infused with me, right? Because they grow from me. Nails are protective, right? So if I want to protect myself or I'm doing a protection spell for myself, I'm going to and I kid you not, like I have the last nail that broke off of me right here because I keep this stuff. There it is, right off my pinky. There it is. Because that's a part of me. I grew that. Um, yeah, so sympathetic magic. I don't know if that's the name of it. I just do it instinctive. So I don't know if it has a name, to be honest. It's just something I've always done. Um, I'll put my hair into things, I'll put my nails into it. Um, you can use your own blood in spells for yourself. That is very, very binding. That is very, very powerful, and that should not be taken lightly. And I'll talk about that more in a different class. Because I think blood magic can get a bad rap, but when used right with intention, there is nothing negative about it. but it can be used in different ways. So that will be like kind of a whole class on its own. We're just not there yet. So yeah, Heather said I do that too. So just naturally, instinctively, that's just something I've always done to connect myself with my spells, is do things like that. So why am I saying this? So if you bathed yourself in water and you put salt in it, but you were using it to pull all of the negativity away from you, no, I would not use that in a spell, because that is now harm. It pulled the negativity out of you, and you need to let that go down the drain. And you can do your own experiments. Like you could put a crystal in there and see if it does the pyramid. I don't know. I'm assuming it's because of the crystalline structure that was in there. And the water and all of that going into it. Maybe that's why it formed the pyramid shapes. I don't know completely through all of that. But if you had water and the salt and you spoke your intentions into the salt, you could add that into the water and then, see what happens and go from there. I've never tried it, so I really don't. That would be an experiment kind of on you, but I wouldn't cleanse myself in a salt bath and then put that in a jar and try to do something with that water, because what you pulled out of you would be in that jar. Does that make sense? Was that what you were asking, kind of, sort of? Did I answer it?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I was trying to type it out, but it's just easier to say it. Yeah, and I wouldn't use bath water. I just meant like taking that kind of salt, that if that you've grounded in a crystal, dried, like, and the water evaporated the salt state. If you use that salt in a bath, would that be more cleansing as opposed to just using, because I mean, I always use infused oils and bath salts in my bath when I bath, because I do want to wash off that negative energy or whatever, right? So, but I just wondered if using that salt from, seawater would be more intense, I guess, or more, have more energy in it to cleanse you of the things that you no longer want, I guess.
I think that would be something that you would have to try. I can't really speak on that. I've never dried out, because there also is sea salt. So you could purchase sea salt and try a bath with sea salt and see if that makes you feel any different. But doing the water, letting it dry out, it might add another layer to it. So yeah, you might find that it draws it out even more. But I don't know if it would be more or less than any other. That would be something you would have to try to,
I'll
like,
try it and
see.
let you know how it works out.
Yeah, and see if you feel, like some, there's so much on, yeah, I was going to say the tides, the ebbs and flows, like, exactly. Maybe if you're, really wanting to, like, pull that out and harness that of the sea, it would kind of be in that already, because that's where it came from. But some people are like, well, you have to use black salt for protection, and pink salt is for love, and white salt is for purification. And I think, it's a lot of hubbub. Salt is salt, it all holds its own properties. And do I have black salt? Yeah. Do I have sea salt? Yeah. Do I have pink salt? Yeah. Do I also use, Epsom salt in my bath, because I find that to be very cleansing and relaxing, and because it pulls out from your body. So especially when I'm really, really feeling it, I like to use Epsom salt, and I will put it at the bottom of my tub, and I will put a plug in, and I will fill it up, and I will take my shower, and it pulls out everything out of my feet, and I imagine it pulling everything out of my feet while the water is washing over my body and pulling everything out of that, and the steam is cleansing my aura, and then when I feel like it's all in the bath water and everything's been pulled from me, I pull the plug and I watch it all go down the drain and pull away from me. So it's really what works for you. I do think the ocean water, though, is definitely going to harness the power of like the moon, the ebbs, the flows. So, drying that out and getting it down to the salt, if you have the patience to do that, I would definitely be very interested to see how you feel with that compared to the other. So yeah, let me know. Let me know. And then I did see something up here.
It's okay. You don't have to read it out loud. It's fine.
No,
My
I
bad.
saw that. I saw that. But there was I think Danny asked it. I think was it like the lake and the tides? Is that what you had said? And does it hold the same as the oceans? So I'm gonna say, to me, um, is it would be gentler than the ocean, but yes, it's still going to have the same pull that the ocean does, but it's going to be gentler because the ocean has these crashing waves and these pulls and these depths, and just, I mean, it can take mankind and crush it. you know so whereas lakes can get choppy, like I understand that, and the flowing and all of the things, but I think if it's just coming up on shore and it's gentle, then it's gonna have that gentler flow to it. But if you're like on one of the raging rivers and it's
Like
crashing,
the Great Lakes are like freshwater oceans. They're crazy deep. They're like
then yeah, then
yeah,
it
yeah.
would
No, it's like
absolutely.
it's like a freshwater ocean. Like the tides are insane. Ships go down.
Yeah, then it definitely is going to have that. If it's a softer lake, it's going to have that softer feel. If it's crashing and all of that, then it's going to have the same as the ocean would. Definitely. Yeah, it just depends on where you're gathering it from. Lake Superior, yeah, chaotic energy. Yeah, so if you know like water is water. If it's crashing, it's going to have that energy, just like an eclipse is going to have chaotic energy. So if it's soft, it's going to be soft. If it's calm, it's going to be calm. If it's raging waters, it's going to be raging waters and raging energy. So it's just going to, depend on where you gather it from. And they all kind of go through that transformation too. So, you know, it could be rough here and then it can flow and be calm down here. So, and that's kind of our life, is it's rough and then it's calm and then it's rough and then it's calm and then it pounds us against the rocks until we think we can't make it anymore, and then it's calm again. So water that's why I said, like, it can be soft and it can give life, but it can be super destructive as well, and it can be shallow and it can be easy to see through, and then it can be the depths that we can get lost in. So it's really the energy that you are trying to harness and that you want from it, and then how you're going to use it. So, it's just what you're going to do and how you're going to use it, and then kind of go from there. And a lot of it is, no, your mouth wasn't full, Heather. And a lot of it is experimenting with with what you get out of it, because what I get out of it might not be the same as what you get out of it. You might prefer more of the raging water for the energy and the flow and the movement and the going, or you might prefer, the calm lake energy of just moving through and babbling brooks and soft and gentle, and what you need it for. So it's really, up to you and your uses and your experimenting. And I do suggest writing down what you like, what worked, and what didn't work. And that way you kind of know where to go from, because you might have done something in January and now here we are, in December, and you're like, crud, how did that make me feel? Wait a minute, did I like that? Did I not? So, you really have to write that down. Exactly. It's subjective to your intentions, and your intentions are yours and mine are mine, and things are going to work differently. You know, I love to mix moon and sun water. Some people only work with moon water. Some people only work with sun water. Some people only care about the phases. Some are super hyper focused on phases and, astrological signs working together. So it's really up to you, because it's your magic, it's your practice. I'm just trying to kind of give a guide and a path so you can find what works for you. Like, we're all just kind of walking down together and seeing, well, this works for me and this works for me, just like Andrea said, she likes to release and forgive at a full moon. And if that's what makes her feel good, then that's what she needs to do on a full moon. Yeah, sun waters are awesome. I love sun water. I think it's really cool. And the different times of day to cast different spells, because so many people are hyper focused on the phase of the moon that they forget we have a day every single day to do these workings, and every day is new and every hour is new, and we get that every single day. Like, it's amazing, and you have extra time to work it. And I love sun water. I do. God, I love sun tea. Man, that's my favorite. There's just something so yummy and powerful about sun tea. So I'll go ahead and stop the recording. And does anybody else